If your carbureted engine surges, hunts, or won't hold a steady RPM, watch this video and I'll show you how to fix it. So surging in a carbureted engine just flat out sucks. There's no other way to put it. It's a pain, makes it hard to drive, you're frustrated by it, and really it doesn't have to be. There's some pretty easy things to go through to try to find out where that's occurring. So today I'm going to give you 6 things to do to try to eliminate the surge. Now, I will also tell you that I would go in order on these because it kind of will walk you through the most common things and certainly the things that a lot of folks get wrong. So what is surging? Well, it's pretty simple to explain. It's just that rising and falling of the RPM range at steady throttle, at idle, where things kind of buck and don't really idle right or cruise right. You're kind of surging and the RPM's hunting all over the place, trying to find a good spot to live, and it acts like it's got issues with either fuel delivery, timing, something of that nature. And so it makes it kind of a pain to go through because you're just trying to figure out why it's occurring and what's happening. And sometimes it's really hard to figure out where the best place to start is. Now, not all of the time, but pretty much a majority of the time, a surge is typically a lean condition. You're not getting enough fuel into the system. So obviously we're going to start with a lot of those things to check first. Now, that condition can occur at any point, really. It can occur when the engine's cold and just started firing up, and you're just trying to get the thing warmed up, or it can occur at full operating temperature. Doesn't really matter. It will happen in both of those instances for sure. Surging can also occur at that cruise RPM. It can certainly happen on acceleration if it's light. Typically, if it's heavy acceleration, throttle to the floor pretty aggressively, it certainly helps that because you're generally getting enough fuel through the system with accelerator pumps and main metering circuits flowing fuel, if that's all working properly anyway. The very first step in this, and I know it's kind of a weird one for some folks because it's one of those questions that I always ask, and it's always, well, I already checked for all that. I sprayed carburetor cleaner everywhere. Nothing was happening, so I don't have a vacuum leak. Probably the biggest thing that occurs is you've got a vacuum leak somewhere. If you're using a carburetor adapter going to a spread bore intake manifold, that's a really common one. Intake manifold gaskets aren't nearly as common, but certainly can be. If you've got cracked hoses on the power booster for the brakes, if you're running that, if you've got a PCV hose that is cracked, you got a valve that's not operating correctly, you've got a full manifold vacuum on your distributor and that could be cracked, caps that are left off on the carburetor, all of those things certainly can add to that lean condition and cause that surge. So 100% of the time, all of those things are important. Anywhere where air can get into the engine, where it's not supposed to get in there in a sealed up system, it's a good place to look and start with anyway. Obviously, a lot of you know one of the things that I'm going to talk about almost with any carburetor tuning situation, and that's ignition timing. Boy, that is probably the biggest one that causes the most common problems for people is timing. If you don't get it right, you've got not enough timing, or if you've even got too much timing, it can cause a surge in the engine. If you've got the vacuum advance hooked up wrong and you're pulling too much timing into the engine, that can cause it as well too. That's why I always say on a mild engine, ported is a great place to start. I know there's a lot of popular misconceptions out there where people will go, oh, you just need to hook it up to a full manifold vacuum. Ported is for emissions. No, it isn't. It was originally on OE carburetors, but tell me anything about that VRS carburetor that's an OE carburetor. It's not. It was never designed and calibrated for emissions, and it certainly doesn't have a ported vacuum port on there because Edelbrock was concerned about emissions control on that carburetor. It's there for a reason. Use it if you need to. The curve inside the distributor. We haven't really covered a lot of that yet, but we're going to. I've got a video coming on that showing exactly how to set timing, the best ways to go about it. It's a process, and if you've got the advance set wrong and it's coming in too quickly or too slowly, well, it can cause that because you're causing kind of a fake lean condition in the engine if you're not metering enough fuel, but you've got too much timing. Those things can throw it off quite a bit. Next thing is float levels. Again, that should be a no-brainer, but making sure that you've got the float set properly and it's got enough fuel in the carburetor, well, that's kind of a big one. 4150 style or this VRS is an easy one because it's easy to look at it externally, and if it's got sight glasses in it, you can certainly do that. The Edelbrock Performer and AVS series carburetors are a little more complicated, but getting the float set properly is a great place to start. You guys have certainly heard me talk about this over and over and over again, but on a carbureted setup, running a fuel pressure regulator is absolutely a great thing to do. I get it. I understand some pumps are supposedly set at a factory setting and you shouldn't need to run a regulator, but it gives you another point for adjustability in a fuel system. It is a great thing to have on a carbureted system. 100 times out of 100, I will always suggest running a pressure regulator, because you can make sure that the flow is correct for the carburetor, the power, the RPM range that you're trying to use on that engine, and having the correct pressure or flow going to the carburetor is a huge bonus on any engine, and certainly can help out making sure that you keep control of these and not getting too much or too little fuel to it, and correcting a surge point that could be occurring because of that. Filters and making sure that you've got a good enough amount of filtration on there. The truck I run 100 micron back by the tank to get as much of that big heavy garbage, and right now I'm running a 10 micron filter up front here. I'm going to be changing that here fairly quickly. I'm going to be updating the fuel system again and changing the filters out, but having the right filter certainly is a big part of that. If it's clogged, if it doesn't have enough flow to it, yeah, it can cause big issues with it and starve out the pump for sure. Another reason why it's good to have a gauge in there, because you can kind of see the pressure drops, well, you might have an issue with your fuel system. Making sure that the floats are set correctly and the needle and seats proper. Again, that's another big part of it. I see that quite frequently where folks go, well, I can't quite figure out why I'm running into a starvation issue or a surge issue. And it's like, when was the last time you popped the float bowls off or popped the air horn assembly off and had to take a look down in there to make sure it's not full of a bunch of garbage and crap? Well, that could be one thing that you should check. Now, obviously the VRS has air bleeds up top, but even boosters, like the Edelbrock booster, has to meter air with the fuel. So running a wire down through those air bleeds, taking the boosters off, running some small wire down through the booster to make sure it's metering fuel and air properly. It's a great thing to do. Make sure that it's operating, functioning properly, and a little bit of carb cleaner and some wire for some good maintenance, not a bad thing. Making sure your idle mixture screws are set properly is not a bad thing. Obviously, you want the good, clean idle, but having too much, this is a very lean condition here. We're on a cold engine right now, so that's not helping any, but making sure that you've got good AFR or good idle mixture at idle is not a bad thing. You'll see this start to warm up as we talk through this, but yeah, having a good mixture setting is a good place to start as well too. I can't remember what video we did, but setting the idle mixture screws to the highest vacuum setting is never a good idea. You want it to where it's at the peak vacuum, but don't keep trying to adjust past it. Once you get to that, come back to that setting, leave it there. It's always a good place, but making sure the engine's fully warmed up, making sure that it's got a good vacuum signal at the highest vacuum level, but don't go too far with it because you could be trying to add more fuel and add more speed to it and not getting it set correctly. So certainly making sure that you've got the highest vacuum rating, but don't go too far with it because that will hurt that as well, and that will cause a lean surge for sure. Obviously, surging at idle is definitely a lean mixture. That's why an AFR gauge is such an invaluable tool. Yeah, I will always suggest you try to afford it, try to find one that fits into your budget. It just makes you, it's a cheat code. It gives you all of the information that you need right there without having to guess of why things are going wrong. We've talked a lot about transition circuits. Now, certainly out of 4150 series style carburetor, it's a little different. Yes, you do want to square those or try to keep them as square as possible, because having fuel and fueling through the idle circuit at a very low speed and before it transitions into the full transition slot is not a bad idea. On an Edelbrock Performer or AVS2 style carburetor, no, you don't have to transition out of there. You don't have to have transition slots exposed. It will naturally expose themselves when it's needed, but you don't need to set it there and you don't need to worry about that. Certainly it's an easy thing to do to make sure that you've got good transition fueling on a Performer or Performer Series carburetor. Certainly on a 4150 style carburetor, it's very easy because you can have a lot of things to play with there. Certainly throttle plate position, air bleed adjustment, emulsions, if you've got it, the ability to change those things. All of those are a very, very easy thing to do. But if you don't have it set correctly, you can have a lean surge that can occur at that part throttle position where you're just coming off idle, where you're trying to transition out of idle into full main metering circuit fueling. And yeah, if you don't have that transition slot set correctly, yeah, you can run into some surge there for sure. It's a bit of a tricky one, but getting the idle speed set correctly and that transition from off idle to through that transition period and into full main metering where the main metering circuit is actually fueling the carburetor, that's kind of a tricky one, but for sure, this is where the AFR shines and tells you exactly what's going on at each throttle position and as you move through those where it's getting that lean surge condition happening. On an AVS style carburetor, certainly the step-up springs are huge. If you just start driving the car around and you don't adjust those for what the engine is asking for based on the engine vacuum, and it doesn't operate the springs correctly because it's too strong and it's not opening, or if it's too weak and it's opening too quickly, yeah, you can run into conditions where the surge is caused by your lack of tuning on a carburetor. So make sure that you do that. Go through the tuning process. I've done a dozen videos or more on how to do that, and getting the right step-up springs is a pretty critical part of that. Jetting and power valve selection is absolutely critical on that cruise surge condition. If the power valve is not opening correctly, not opening at the right time, yeah, it will cause a lean surge for sure. Not having the right jets absolutely will cause a lean surge. Yeah, if you're not metering enough fuel through that part throttle, steady cruise RPM, yeah, absolutely. Those are the things that are going to cause it, and not adjusting those correctly, or not trying to ignore it and just thinking, well, it'll go away, or I'll just try to cruise it at a different RPM. Fix it. That's what those things are there for. That's what the power valve is there for. That's what jetting changes are there for. It's just part of the tuning process. So that's why I want you to remember it. Find the vacuum leaks. Make sure that you're not having any of those issues. Make sure your timing is set correctly and not what the factory called for in 1971 on this vehicle. Put enough timing in it. Make sure you don't put too much in it. Fuel pressure, idle mixture, making sure that you get enough fuel going into that carburetor and not cheating the carburetor out of having enough fuel. Huge parts of it. Transfer slots, cruise calibration, all of those things are very, very important. It's just part of the tuning process. If you skip it and then you wonder why you're having those surge conditions that are having a lean effect and causing it, well, you're the only one to blame there. So making sure that you get all those things set correctly will help you fight your way through that process pretty quickly. So tell me where you're having that surge. Where is that occurring? What are the things that you've done to the engine? What are the things that you've done to try to tune through it? The proper response is of all the things that you've worked through. And if it's, well, I've just farted around with the idle mixture screws, well, it's probably not having any effect on cruise surge, and sometimes it doesn't have any effect on what's going on at idle. So leave a comment down below. Let me know you're having those problems. I'll help you try to work your way through it, but it's a process, and you go through it step by step. You will find where the best place is to find all those conditions, and it'll help you figure out where you're having them, and then you just work through it. It's not that complicated. But if you skip any of them, well, that's where it becomes a problem. Or if you go, well, I definitely don't have this going on, and you skip past it, well, that's where you run into problems. So don't ever skip anything. Try to find and go through it step by step, and definitely hunt it down until you figure out what the issues are. So leave those comments down below. Give me a thumbs up if you liked the video, and we'll figure out why you're having that lean surge condition, And yeah, if you figure it out on your own, leave your solution down below. What was the condition that you were having, and tell me what you did to fix it, so it'll help some other folks. So leave those comments down below. We'll catch you guys on the next one. We'll see ya.